Good morning everyone. Jolly welcome to you. Another episode of Learning by Doing coming at you today from Sorong. We came over here because we're going to depart Raja Ampat pretty soon. There's still no official word of whether we're actually allowed to or not, but we sort of got sick of it and we're just going to go. Anyway, we arrived here. Everything seems pretty mellow. No one's been hassling us. And yeah, we're going to fill the boat up with food and yeah, we haven't had a proper shop yet this year, so it's the first time with big supermarkets and things. So we're going to do that. But the mission for today is, and what I'm going to show you in this video, is some engine maintenance. It's probably pretty boring for a lot of you who want to see sailing and adventuring, but yeah, the last videos have just mainly been adventuring, so I thought it'd be cool to show you some of, you know, you've got to keep the boat running. The mission today for me is to check the diesel system, clean the filters and everything. I want to take the gasket cover off and do valve clearance tappets, and also I am going to take the cooling system apart and clean the heat exchanger. This is something I've never done, so yeah, I'm going to give it a crack. We'll see how we go. The reason I've waited to do it in Sorong is that here at least there's a bit of a city, and if I need anything or if I break any gaskets or whatever, there's a chance here I can fix it. I couldn't do that over in Raja Ampat. If I would make a boo-boo over there, then I would really be up the Brown Creek without a paddle. So yeah, I'm doing it here. Anyway, hope you enjoy. While I'm slaving away in the engine bay, Marie is working. What are you up to?
I am working on my podcast. I am editing all the sound I recorded these last weeks and try to do a new episode. And you can find the link here.
Alright, I'm going to start off with the heat exchanger, with the cooling system, and that's in here. I hadn't really looked at it before, but it's not going to be quite as easy as I thought. I had just hoped to take the end off, pull the core out and clean it, but that would involve moving the fuel tank. So it's not going to be a small job to take the fuel tank off, so I think what I'll do is take this whole heat exchanger assembly off, the raw water and the fresh water. But yeah, it's a bit bigger job than I thought actually, but yeah, I've never done it, never put into this before, so I'm going to give it a crack, and I'll definitely learn something along the way, and if I make a balls up of it, you'll probably learn something too. Okay, so I'm going to start with taking all the hoses off basically. There's going to be water coming out, but there's a catch underneath and I'll sock it all up afterwards. Babe, could you get me the small bucket? Okay, so we've got the thing out, the core, the clean, the freshwater core is in here. I'll take both ends off. I'm pretty much going to strip the whole thing down, to be honest. Okay, that's the end come off now. You can see the exhaust manifold is quite gummed up as well. And this end, quite gummed up. You can see the air through there, but yeah, quite a few of the holes are blocked. Okay, now you can see the whole core. First time I've seen it. Now naturally it would be quite nice if I had an air compressor and all sorts of nice things to be able to clean this out, but I don't. I don't even have power here. So I'm going to put that in a bucket of Vixal, which is just some sort of acid that I found in the supermarket. I'll water it down a bit, and hopefully that'll just eat away all the shells and whatever things are stuck inside there. And then yeah, I might just blow it up by hand, whatever. I mean, as long as I can get the water flowing through, that's basically what it does, is salt water flows through here and exchanges the heat from the fresh water that's going around the engine. So you just have to get the water flowing basically. So it's not rocket science. And both these end caps as well, I'll put in the Vixal. They're pretty crusted and you want to get the water flowing around and all these bits and stuff stuck in there, it'll stop the water flow. Okay, so I've left this stuff in the Vixal, which is 17% hydrochloric acid, by the way, I saw on the thing. And yeah, came out a lot better than they were. So I'm just cleaning them off in fresh water. Same with this thing. This is the tube. Now you can see, yeah, they're all open again now, ready to do their job of exchanging heat. So yeah, I've cleaned everything. This thing's cleaned all the exhaust ports out. This is a little bit of an issue, but it's still okay, the gasket. And I'm just going to use Loctite 518 a bit on here because these gaskets are completely gone. But I've looked up on the internet, it seems to work alright. Yeah, everything else is pretty clean, pretty ready to go back on. So I'll quickly put everything back together, bolt it all up, and whack it back on and see if it works. Not doing these too tight, just snugging them up and just going around in a sort of anti-clockwise direction. Just give them all a bit of a snug. It's just a feel thing. I guess you could have a torque wrench, but okay, she is ready to go back inside. I'll go and put a little bit of gasket glue on there and then put it all back together. Okay, well I've got everything back together now. It's just a matter of topping off the coolant, opening the seacock again in the sail drive to let the salt water through, and then I think that's about everything. Oh no, I have to reattach the throttle cable, but that's quick. And then I'm going to start it up and then come back down and let it run warm for 10 minutes and just observe, just watch, look everything. Because things like, you only have to forget one hose clamp that's not tight and you can have a catastrophic failure. You know, you can have an overheating engine that might overheat just when you're going between a reef pass or something like that. So come down here and shine a torch in everywhere, run it till it's hot, run it at high rev so that the water's really pumping around through there, and just observe it and leave it running for a while, and put it in gear, out of gear, just so it's under load, and just so you know that, all right, it's all good now. But I'll get it started up first and then we'll go from there. As you can see, if there's water coming out the back, it means that there's water flow through the engine. There's water coming in, salt water from underneath, it's exchanging heat and it's coming out the back again. So if that's working, I'm pretty confident. All the other hoses aren't leaking anywhere. I can feel on the heat exchanger where it's hot at the end where the fresh water comes from the engine, and it's cool at the other end where the salt water's done its job of exchanging the heat. So I'll leave it running for a while. The other reason I want to leave it running is I want to heat up the engine. I want to run the engine quite warm because I'm going to check the tolerances in the tappets, the valve guides. And it's good to have the engine hot for that so that the metal's at its right size then. Okay, so that's one job finished. Up next on the engine day is to check the tappets, the clearance of the valves on the rockers. I've done this before. I checked this one last year and just want to check it again. It's not too elaborate, there's not many bolts to undo, but yeah, give it a crack. How are you doing back there, Marie? How many episodes have you done today?
Only one.
Only one?
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm sure the listeners are wanting you to do 10 all the time.
Oh yeah, 10 in one day. Now I finished the episode and I'm working on the communication.
Alright, I'll leave you to it. Alright, let's get to work. Okay, so to do this, basically I've just got to take this top cover here off. Well, it's the whole thing. But it's just these 3 bolts and a few bits and pieces here. Take the cover off. Ooh, she's hot.
It is an engine, is she too?
Okay, so I've just been online to find out exactly which feeler gauge the tolerances it has to be between the valves and the guides. And I actually realised that I've done it around the wrong way. The engine needs to be cold for this. So probably you people at home that heard me comment before, they're like, no. Yeah, you're right. I should have done this job first while the engine was cold. But yeah, I've got it all apart now. So I'm just going to leave it for a couple of hours and change the diesel filters in the meantime. Okay, the engine's cooled down enough now. I can have a crack at this. So as I said before, I've taken the top off and I've got my little slider here. These are all the different sizes you can have, and mine should be 2mm. So this valve here, the second one in, is closed, and so there's no load on it. So that's when you want to do it. And so you just slide this in here. You should be able to slide it in, but it should be a bit of a grab on it. Like you should feel it. It's definitely a touch thing. So that one's fine. I can feel a little bit of drag on it. It's good. I won't change that one at all. And so now I'll turn the engine over and try and get this one to the top dead center. So to turn the engine over, all I've got here is a wrench on the end of the engine, and you just slowly turn the engine over until you feel the piston go up. And that one's too loose. See, that could be the one that's locked. It's much looser. So I'm going to adjust this one a little bit. So to adjust them, you just release this locking screw and then turn the screw slightly. Okay, that one is good. Number 1 and number 2 are good. Okay, so I'm pretty happy they're all the same now. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it all up. I've locked everything down. There's nothing more to do. You just clean off this little gasket here. It's a little rubber gasket. Just run around it with a rag. I'll just plop that back on. These don't need to be very tight. It's just enough to keep the oil in, basically. Quick check of the air filter. Good thing on boats is, opposed to, for example, excavators or heavy machinery that use similar sort of engines, boats, you're in a pretty pristine environment. I mean, obviously, you know, salt water and sun outside, but in here, you've got no dust. I used to drive excavators before I was a photographer, and sometimes they'll do 10,000 hours, and they'll do services every 500 hours, and they're in dust and just all day. That's the whole job. They're just in dust, so that the amount of dust and shit that goes through the engine, we'd do a service on them, the oil would be, you know, black. I just do a service every season, regardless of how many hours I do, just so that I know I've done it. But it's actually unnecessary. The oil's still clean at the end of the season because it's not running in dust. You don't really even need an air filter because there's nothing to filter out of the air here. But anyway, that's why these Yanmars, they'll do, well, anywhere between 10 and 50,000 hours they'll go, apparently, if you look after them. So the engine room is clean now. So put the doors on that, close it up, and then, yeah, look out here, filthy as stuff everywhere. Grease and stuff, and yeah, the floors through the boat, I've got to clean that where I've walked around. But anyway, I'm pretty happy to get that boat engine jobs done. Probably pretty boring, but yeah, it's all part of boat life. It's not all snorkeling and sailing and adventure and life on a beach with a beautiful girl in a bikini. But yeah, look after the engine, it'll look after you for years.